Let's welcome our next speaker, Niyathi Varma, head girl at Meridian School, Banjara Hills, a national level speaker, debater, and MUN participant. She has been a panelist at events alongside prominent figures like the IT Secretary of Telangana. Get ready to be inspired as Niyathi shares insights on how each of us can make a difference for a healthier, more sustainable world. Please join me in welcoming her on stage.
Namaste and a good morning to everyone present here. Today I have a very important question for everyone here. Can someone tell me what are those 4 magic words that we as children yearn to hear? Anyone? Ma'ams? Sirs? Let me give you a hint. It's something you hear during bedtime. Anyone? 4 words. Well, let me keep you out of suspense. It's once upon a time, a long time ago. And I remember I used to yearn to hear these words, especially when I was at my grandmother's house. And I used to wait for bedtime so I can enter that beautiful world where my imagination could run wild. And so today, let me take you into that world. A world filled with magic lands and glass slippers. A world where there are enchanted forests and beautiful castles. Where there are damsels in distress and prince charmings. The world of stories. Now, can I ask everyone in the audience to close your eyes? Just bear with me for a minute or two. Close your eyes, please, everyone. And imagine. Imagine you're sitting on a magic carpet. Can you feel that soft rug under you? Yeah, and imagine that magic carpet is lifting up into the sky. Can you feel the breeze underneath that carpet? Can you touch the clouds beside you? And suddenly we're going down and we're descending into the beautiful and the central forests in central India. Now open your eyes and tell me those 4 magic words. What are they? No energy today, I see, so let me repeat it. Once upon a time, a long time ago, in the forests of central India, there was a girl, a beautiful girl. She was as beautiful as the enchanting forest she called her home. She had long golden hair that looked like the rays of the sun. Her eyes were like peacock feathers, her lips like lotus petals, and she was as fair as the chrysanthemum flowers. Can you see her? But it was not this beauty that made her different. Rather, her kind and benevolent nature, for she would not even hurt a blossom. One day, she was playing around in the forest, dancing with the animals, when she heard a tweak, a creak. And she saw the most magnificent deer she had ever seen. Its antlers were long, branched, and powerful. And she was mesmerized, enchanted with its hazel eyes. And then she heard a sound from behind. And she turned to find an arrow pointed towards the forehead of the deer. And on the other side of this metal-tipped arrow was the most handsome man she had ever seen. He had sun-kissed skin and hair like the raven's wing. And the minute she saw him, something changed within her. But then he pulled that arrow back. And just as he was about to let it go, she went and she stood in front of the deer and said, "No, please, do not hurt the deer. Let it go." The deer ran away. But the arrow had left the bow, and did it strike her? Did she die? Fortunately, the arrow missed its mark, but he struck her heart. And so he came, he gave her his hand, and the minute their hands touched and their eyes met, they knew that they were meant to be together forever. And so they would steal away into the nights and walk across the grasslands, talking about many various things, and with time, their love grew. But destiny had other plans. For you see, the girl Mahua and the boy Aryan were from rival tribes, and the enmity between these tribes was long and deep. But love knows no bounds. And so one day, as they were sitting under the peepal tree, looking at the starry night, Mahua's father saw them, and he grew furious. He was so angry to see his daughter with a man from a rival tribe. And so he came, he dragged her, and he locked her up in a hut and arranged for her to get married to someone else the next morning. Now Mahua, unable to bear the idea to part with her lover forever, she decided to run away with Aryan that night. And so they ran, and they ran, and they ran, and they ran, and they ran until they reached the end of the cliff. And in front of them were an army of angry tribal men ready to shoot them down. Mahua felt helpless. And so she fell to her knees and she wept and wailed and begged the gods to protect her love, but her cries were unheard. Now the father, his pride would not allow his daughter to get married to someone from a rival tribe, and so he took his arrow and he let it go and hit her in the heart, and her heart stopped beating and she fell to the ground. And in her last breath, she whispered, "Aryan." Her blood trickled down, it touched his feet, and he stood there in disbelief for a second, not understanding what is going on. Then he came and he held her in her arms. He saw his life leaving him, seeing his lover sitting there lifeless. And so he took the arrow out of her heart, and as he drove it into his, he whispered, "Now we are together forever." Now her blood, Mahua's blood, had trickled down and splashed onto 4 petals of the creamy flower beside her. And on the 5th petal were spots of Aryan's blood. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Gulmohar flower, the flower through which their love lives on forever. But this is not just the story of the Gulmohar flower. This is the story. There's so many other plants, trees, and flowers that hold stories, like the Parijatam, or the lotus, or the jasmine. But where are these flowers? Where are the trees? Look around you, ladies and gentlemen. We are living in a concrete jungle. Did you know that last year, 28.3 million hectares of trees were cut? And how many were planted for those 28 million? Just 4 million were planted. Now, did you know that 17 trees are cut to provide for one student's academic needs up till post-graduation? Now, for these 17 trees that are cut for us, how many have we planted? Look around you. Mother Nature is suffering. She is crying. And that brings me to my next story. A story about Mother Nature and her suffering. Now, before I go on, what are those 4 magic words? Come on, put some energy. What are those 4 magic words? Yes, once upon a time, a long, long time ago, when gods and goddesses lived high up on Mount Olympus and protected and preserved the mortal world, there was a goddess. The goddess Ceres. And the goddess Ceres was the goddess of agriculture, of crop, of fertility and motherly love. And she was the happiest among all the gods. Now she gifted her subjects, the mortals of the land, with crop, with wheat and golden drops of maize. And there was never any shortage of food. The world was happy because Ceres was happy. And Ceres was happy because of her daughter, Proserpina. Now Proserpina was a young woman with enchanting beauty and an otherworldly allure. She was this captivating angel with long hair, with golden dark hues that looked like golden wheat when it was ready to be harvested. And Ceres loved her daughter Proserpina. She was her everything. One day, Proserpina and her friends were playing on the banks of the river when someone had seen Proserpina. The god of the underworld, Pluto, had seen her. He was tall, handsome, and as dark as the storm. And he was captivated by her light and her radiance, light which he had never seen, for he lived in a place where no light shines. And so the earth opened up as he rode his golden chariots, ridden by dark horses, and he carried Proserpina away into a world where no light shines, no grass grows, no bees buzz, no flowers blossomed. And in that world, she felt desperate. She wailed and wailed, but it was of no avail. And she missed her mother terribly. And so she would not eat a morsel of food. She felt lonely. She felt trapped and imprisoned. And so she sat in that prison that was literally hell. Now, on the other side of the world, high up on Mount Olympus, Ceres wailed and wept and in desperation searched for her daughter. She searched high, she searched low, she searched here, and she searched there, but it was of no use. Proserpina was nowhere to be found, and so she wept and wept and wept, and no crops grew, no bees buzzed, no flowers blossomed, and the world seemed to come to a halt. Because there was no more food in the world. And so mortals came and they begged the gods, please ask Ceres to come and revive the earth. And so the gods went to convince Ceres, but Ceres' tears would not stop. How do I live without my daughter? Oh, how do I die without her? Please let me be, for I am neither alive nor dead without Proserpina, and I will not work until she is found. Oh, please leave, she wailed. And so the gods sent their winged messenger Mercury to search everywhere and find Proserpina, and that he did. He searched in the highest of peaks and the deepest of oceans, but he could not find Proserpina anywhere. And then he went to the deepest parts of the world, the underworld, where he saw Proserpina. And he came back, reported to the gods, and told Ceres what had happened. Now the gods, they went down to the underworld, and they pleaded Pluto to let Proserpina come back so that nature will be restored. But Pluto was a cunning man. And so he said, Proserpina may leave, provided that she did not eat anything while she was in the underworld. Now you see, Proserpina would not touch a morsel of food unless it was grown in her mother's garden. But no crops grew, right? No flowers blossomed. There was no wheat, no grain. And so the messengers of hell searched high, they searched low, they searched everywhere. And finally they found an old pomegranate, which they brought back to her. And she ate 6 seeds. 6 seeds of that pomegranate to survive. And so Pluto says, I can't help it. Now she has eaten 6 seeds of the pomegranate, and so she is to live with me in the underworld for 6 months of the year. And for the other 6, she may return to her mother if she pleases. And that's what happened. And that's how the seasons came. Summer and spring were the time when Proserpina would return to her mother Ceres, and Ceres was happy. But autumn and winter were the times when Proserpina would return to the underworld, and Ceres wept. Ladies and gentlemen, Ceres is still crying, but not for her lost daughter. She's asking us to stop succumbing to greed. We have become so blind as to not see her signs, even when the Sahara is flooded and the Arabian desert is filled with snow. We have become so deaf that we're not able to heed her warnings, even when thunder is striking in peak summer. We are not able to feel the climate change, even when it's snowing in summers and raining in winters. Or are we simply too ignorant? Too ignorant to her cries, too ignorant to her warnings. How long can we ignore the fact that if we continue to burn and break and take and take and take, there will be nothing left to take. Mother Nature will have nothing left to give. Start today. Start to see her souls in the stars. Start to hear her heartbeat underneath our feet. Start to feel her presence all around us. And start to give. Start to protect her like she protected us. Start to heal, and let's heal together, not hurt together. Heal together. Thank you.